here in Augusta, but really all over the country and all over the world. And that's what we'll get to today. First, though, we are bringing in our first alert meteorologist, Mikel Hannah-Harding. Let me get him pulled up here. Mikel, good morning. How's it going?
Yes, sir. Hey, good morning, Nick. How you doing, man?
Pretty good, pretty good. Excited for another edition here of First Alert Weather Extra, and the first time that you and I are just doing this solo. Usually we have Emily with us. Emily and I did it the first day, and now it's just you and me. Emily's going to be off for the next couple of days, so excited to just talk a little weather with you, hopefully learn a couple of things along the way. But let's go ahead and start off with our local forecast, what we're seeing here, if you want to run us through that.
Definitely, that would be my pleasure. And today's a big day for counties such as McDuffie County, Columbia County, and also our elementary schools in Richmond County, because we're talking about kids going back to school. So the forecast is very important, not only for everyone, but especially those parents and students. So we're looking at the weather headlines, and thankfully we're not talking about extreme or excessive heat to deal with out there as the kids are just starting school back for this week. So we're looking at below average highs for today and tomorrow. Those seasonal highs do return by the weekend, and then we're also tracking rainfall chances that could lead to a few minor flooding issues, but that flood threat thankfully is on the lower side and not all too widespread for everyone seeing those flooding issues. As far as a live look outside, definitely a cloudy and gloomy day ahead. We're looking at Grovetown I-20 right now, just a blanket of those stratus clouds, so some overcast conditions. We're looking at temperatures at about 75, maybe a peak of sunshine around Bushfield Airport, and those winds out of the southeast at about 5 miles per hour. As far as the wide view of our radar network, you can see a lot of rainfall to our north and northwest. So not seeing a lot of that rainfall really getting into the heart of our viewing area just yet. And even for those locations that are seeing some rainfall, quote unquote, on radar, a lot of this not making it down towards the ground. So not really seeing a lot of actual rainfall making it down to where we are. But as we continue through into this afternoon, especially by this evening and tonight, I do think that we'll begin to see more of that rainfall pushing in, and it also could be a tad bit heavier and more widespread in coverage. But just zooming in on some areas that could be seeing maybe some sprinkles at most, we're looking at areas around Glasscock County and Jefferson County, in between Gibson, Brins, as we continue northward into McDuffie County, Columbia County, in between that stretch of I-20 that goes from Thompson to Grovetown. And then as we look around the Augusta area, also potentially some sprinkles coming in just on that south side of Bobby Jones Expressway in between Augusta and the Gracewood area. A little bit further northward as we continue into Clarks Hill Lake, we're looking at McCormick, Edgefield, Saluda counties now, also portions of Wilkes County. Definitely could be seeing some rainfall begin to fall in northern portions of Wilkes County, with that yellow right there indicating some moderate rainfall embedded inside of those lighter showers. But overall, we're seeing just some very light shower activity at most, impacting central and northern portions of the viewing area. Temperatures are in the mid to upper 70s and right around 80 for Barnwell and Bamberg, some of the warmer spots right now. But we are going to pretty much see our temperatures stay in the 80s just about all day today across the area. So definitely not a overly hot outlook, below average if that at that. And then we are talking about the chance for some on and off rainfall throughout today, with that rainfall becoming a little bit more widespread and maybe even a tad bit heavier as we head towards this evening and tonight. As far as high temperatures around the region, though, most of us will have a chance to get up into the mid 80s. If you're lucky, you could see those temperatures close to 90 if you get enough sunshine. But Saluda, you guys possibly staying in the upper 70s with that rainfall likely already starting a little bit earlier in comparison to our central and southern counties. We definitely could see some cooler temperatures north of I-20 for today. As far as the flash flood risk, we have about a 50-50 split in between the slight to marginal risk for today. So some of our western counties and northern counties included in that level 2 out of 5 risk for some minor flooding issues. As we head towards tomorrow, that low flash flood risk does shift to the southern part of our viewing area. So basically just south of I-20 and then continuing all the way down through counties such as Emmanuel, Screven, Jenkins, and Allendale. You guys will be under the gun potentially for some more rounds of heavier rainfall as we head through tomorrow morning and then maybe again tomorrow afternoon. Thankfully, we're not talking about any kind of severe risk the next 3 days. So at this time, that's good news. We'll definitely keep a close eye on that, though, as we know things can change very quickly when it comes to weather. But looking at the projected outlook for today, just your hour-by-hour forecast, we're going to see the potential for these showers and storms, as I mentioned, on and off throughout today. There could be a period of drier weather as we get into the early afternoon, heading into the early evening for today. And then once we start to approach dinner time and moving closer to sunset, that's when those rainfall chances could begin to pick back up as we see another round of upper level energy possibly swinging through, as well as it depends on the evolution of these complexes of thunderstorms that we're going to be tracking to our north and west, which we did see on radar moving through portions of Tennessee, northern Alabama, and other states like that off to our north and west. But as we continue through tonight, that rainfall does become a little bit more widespread, possibly. Could be a little bit of a wet start tomorrow morning, but at this time looks to be mostly dry. And as we continue into Friday afternoon, that's when that chance for rainfall does look to come back. But rainfall chances do stay elevated the next 48 hours as we head into the weekend, returning more to that seasonal summertime pattern with just a chance for some pop-up showers and storms. And we're going to have to start worrying about the temperatures once again. So definitely enjoy the cooler weather that we do have in the forecast the next 2 days, because by the time we head into Sunday especially, and even Saturday, we're looking at those heat index values getting back close to 100 and even over that as we continue into Monday. So that below average feel definitely going to be coming to an end here as we head into the weekend. As far as downloading our weather app, definitely a good time to do that. If you don't happen to be on your cellular device watching this stream right now, this broadcast, you can go ahead and pull out your camera and scan that QR code, and it'll take you to the App Store. If you have an iPhone, or the Play Store if you have an Android, and you can download our WRDW First Alert Weather app. We do have some impactful weather in the forecast in the way of some rainfall chances over the next 48 hours. So this definitely could be a useful tool, in particular that interactive radar, as we continue to track rainfall chances going up through tonight and into tomorrow. But here's that 7-day forecast. Again, those temperatures below average for at least through about Saturday even, but into Sunday and then heading into Monday of next week, those temperatures more seasonal, and we are going to have to worry about that heat index getting back close to 100. So got to remember to stay inside as much as possible and stay hydrated as we get back into the weekend, Nick.
Yeah, great to see some below average temperatures after what just felt like an extremely hot July. We talked about it a little bit yesterday, probably the hottest month on record on Earth. And so globally, we definitely saw some of that here in the CSRA. But Mikel, you mentioned some back to school pics, or some back to school for some kids here. I got some pictures for you. Let's go ahead and pull up a couple here. We've got, these aren't from today. I'm sure we'll get some of those a little bit later on, but we've got Job here sending us this picture.
Check out Job. Job looks happy, like he's ready to conquer today.
Yeah, we got one there. We got another one here. This was a 9th grader, Strom Thurman, sent to us by Renee Wood. So good luck first day of high school.
County.
These are I think definitely. These are all going to be Edgefield and Aiken counties. We got Hallie going into 4th grade here.
Not Hallie. Okay.
Yep. And then I think we have let's see, we got some pictures of these two. There we go. This looks back to school, and I'm assuming this is going to be probably Edgefield or Aiken. And I think we had another one. Yeah, Carr, Lauren Bell over at North Augusta High School. So good luck to all of them. Thanks for sending in those photos, and send us in some photos. We'll show them. Why not?
We love them.
Yeah, we love
just wishing everybody
pictures.
Great school year, man. Go
ahead. It's gonna be a good year, hopefully, for everybody. This feels like the first year that we're really putting COVID in the rearview mirror. Like in 2020, when that started up, it was like starting in the middle of the pandemic. In 2021, it was kind of like still some things. 2022, everything was kind of ending, so it was like that was the big story, like things are ending. This year just feels normal, like completely normal, and that is good.
Yeah.
That we're finally putting the pandemic behind us and moving on with a normal school year. So good luck to everybody on that first day of school. Also, if you don't know exactly when your first day of school is, or you're trying to get some more information, up on our website, WRDW.com, we do have an article with a list of everybody's start dates, whether that was previously or whether it's this upcoming week, next week, anything like that. We've got all that up there, and if you click on the link on your school district name, it'll take you to that school calendar. So if you need some more information, all up on the website. But okay, let's get back to weather here, Mikel. We're talking rain chances here. We see it on the 7-day. I'll pull that back up real quick. You see 30 to 40 to 50% really all throughout the next week or so. But some dry conditions out west have created a big problem fire-wise. And we'll actually pull up this video here of, let me get this up here. Yeah, this is a video from the York Fire, which is currently about 80,000 acres. And this looks like a tornado with some fire. Let me get rid of this little lower third here. Look at that. A little fire at the base of that. So, Mikel, what are we looking at here?
So this is classified as a fire-nado. No pun intended. As you just said, it looks like a tornado, but it's caused by the extreme heat and then also abrupt changes in the wind direction that can be influenced by that extreme heat. So sometimes you can get that smoke forming into a column as you see, and it resembles a tornado. Definitely don't want to be anywhere near that because it can get those winds likely up to 60, 70 miles per hour, almost similar to a dust devil, if you have ever heard of that before. But just a smaller scale feature that we probably wouldn't be able to pick up on radar or satellite, honestly. It wouldn't look like this on satellite, probably a plume of smoke, but just some amazing stuff. And this isn't the first time that this has happened. I definitely recall hearing about fire tornadoes since I was a kid with those intense wildfires that typically happen every year in portions of California.
Yeah, this is something I've heard about but haven't seen too much. Just because of how, like you said, they don't pop up on radar or anything. So the only way to really know one is there is if you see one for yourself. And,
exactly.
Like you said, you don't want to be too close to that. Thankfully, though, looked like that person was standing pretty far away. Right, let's move on to our first story here. More than 50 million people right now still under heat alerts in 10 states, including Arizona, places out west where the record-breaking temperatures have proven deadly to both people and pollinators out there. This as raging wildfire threatens the landscape of a popular tourist destination. This is from Patrick Cornell here. Well, if I can find the video, there it is.
As the York wildfire rages on the California-Nevada border, the acres of earth scorched by the inferno is growing.
We're probably going to lose hundreds of thousands of Joshua trees. It will take a lifetime to get those mature, big Joshua tree forests back.
In Texas, the fast-moving flames of the Powder Keg pine fire forcing people from their homes.
Well, every summer when it gets dry like this, it's just a matter of time before the fires start, and it's
going to happen, and just as quick as they get on it, they can control it.
Yeah.
They do an outstanding job.
Yeah, they got really good, real good resources out this time.
On top of battling blazes, extreme heat buckling pavement in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and rewriting the record books in multiple places across Texas on Tuesday. The heat has killed at least 7 people in the Houston area since June. Blistering temperatures aren't just proving deadly to humans, they're also killing honeybees with a historic heat wave melting hives in Arizona.
So it collapses, and oftentimes the queen can be crushed. And if that happens, then there's no other bee there that can replace her. There's no other bees that can lay eggs, so the colony would just die.
I'm Patrick Cornell reporting.
And that's something we had talked about yesterday, was the bee population taking a big hit and how important they are. And Mikel, the heat that we're seeing across the country really doesn't seem to be slowing down.
Pattern, a big ridge sitting over the central and western part of the U.S. Thankfully, we have been on the weaker side of that ridge for most of this summer. We definitely have had our stretch of hot days, and really it's felt hotter here because of the humidity, not necessarily because of the actual air temperatures. But when we're talking about Texas, Arizona, they're actually dealing with air temperatures over 100. So even though it's a dry heat, it's still dangerous. As you can see, 7 people dying in Houston, which is pretty crazy. As Emily, you and I were discussing yesterday about heat-related illnesses being the #1 cause of weather-related deaths. Behind that is flooding. But heat has been a huge story for this year, and it's also leading to these massive wildfires that are even harder to put out because things are so dry, the conditions are so favorable for these fires. So just a sad situation to see, and really just praying for everyone continuing to deal with that heat. Just imagine if we had to deal with consecutive days of 100-degree-plus temperatures, Nick. That would be pretty crazy to talk about.
Yeah, 100-degree plus, and then if you add in that humidity too, we would be really struggling out here. I mean, we came close. I know there were a couple mid to upper 90s days that we had, I guess last week, 2 weeks ago, that thankfully never got into the triple digits, but we definitely felt some heat here. And we think about those, like those fires can seem so far away, but then when we feel the smoke effects coming all the way across the country or coming all the way down from Canada, it brings it a little bit closer to home for us.
Definitely, and it's just amazing how sometimes the jet stream can carry that smoke from totally different areas of North America or the United States and bring it all the way to the East Coast. Almost similar to how that Saharan dust travels across the Atlantic. I don't know if you remember that about 2 years ago, we had some Saharan dust coming in. That was more so from the trade winds, but it's just crazy how these global atmospheric patterns and atmospheric patterns in general work and how they can really carry stuff from one part of the globe to another.
Yeah, kind of almost puts into perspective, you know, it's really not, the world's not that big. You know, there's a little bit of everything's a little bit closer than it may seem originally.
We're all connected,
but,
man.
Yeah, and I know I had some friends out in California when those fires were happening. I was getting pictures of just like yellow skies, and it felt like a post-apocalyptic movie. Just seeing the skies out there, it was crazy to watch.
Their air quality up north, even too, when they had that wildfire smoke from Canada the first time. I mean, people couldn't even go outside for extended periods of time. So it was
I mean, I'm from Philly, from South Jersey, and all my friends that live in the Philly area, they had to put on masks again to go outside. We were just talking about the pandemic being over, and it felt like it was just back on for them because they had to put on a mask to go out into Center City, Philadelphia. So it's a serious business when you get the wildfires out there. It affects more than just the place that's being burnt. But let's move on here because this is our first time talking global weather news now, Mikel. We've got something to talk about. It's typhoon season, I guess, out in the Southeast Asia, in the Asian Pacific. Yeah, Pacific. That's what I was looking for. And in China, at least 21 people have been killed from rain and flooding after a typhoon there, and Beijing continues to dig out from mud and damage there. State media reports evacuation orders were given to more than 127,000 people, and the threat from storms is not over yet. Anna Corin has more.
The death toll from former super typhoon Doksuri continues to rise across China. 21 people now dead, according to authorities. 12 of those were in Beijing, with another dozen still missing. The storm has dumped the heaviest rainfall over the capital ever recorded in 140 years. Heavy rains began pummeling Beijing and surrounding areas last Saturday, with the average rainfall for the month of July falling on the capital in just 40 hours. Severe flooding washed away cars, damaged buildings and roads, with many residents needing to be evacuated. In neighbouring Hebei province, over 800,000 people were evacuated. Authorities say 9 people were killed, 6 are still missing. Chinese leader Xi Jinping called for every effort to rescue those lost or trapped by the rain. State media reports that maximum rainfall was recorded in 10 weather stations in Hebei province, also breaking historical records. The local meteorological service says rainfall in Beijing and Hebei is expected to ease today, while the storm moves towards northeastern China. As we know, China has been experiencing extreme weather and posting record temperatures this summer, which scientists believe has been exacerbated by climate change. Another typhoon is now heading towards China. Typhoon Kanun, the 6th storm this year, is powerful and slow-moving. Currently, it's lashing Japan, although authorities say it's weakened slightly. It's reached winds of 185 kilometres an hour, that's 115 miles per hour, the equivalent of a Category 3 Atlantic hurricane. So far, 1 person has died. Kanun has knocked out power to 1/3 of homes in Okinawa. Phone and internet connections have been disrupted. The airport in Okinawa's capital has been closed for a second day. Okinawa is home to the bulk of US forces based in Japan. This typhoon is expected to move towards China and Taiwan later this week. Anna Corin, CNN, Hong Kong.
And with the population being so dense out there, it's like a smaller typhoon or one that hits a smaller surface area can impact so many people, just because you think of like Tokyo, how many people are in that city. So, Mikel, I see you got the tropical outlook there. We're talking hurricane season for us here, and I just looked it up because I was curious. Hurricane and typhoon, same thing. Did you know that?
Right. Yes, they
sure
just call it that in the Pacific. Yeah, like a lot of people don't though, but it's really the same thing. I believe though that the typhoons in that part of the earth, especially in the southern hemisphere, they spin the opposite direction of ours. So that's one.
I think you're right. I think in the southern hemisphere, they spin
Yes.
the other way. That makes
Right.
sense.
Like clockwise instead of counterclockwise. But
Yeah.
there was some crazy stats in that video. I was trying to write down some stuff. I know I missed some stuff, but Anna Corin, she said that was the heaviest rainfall that they saw in Beijing in 140 years. They also got their total amount, their average amount for July rainfall, they got that in 40 hours. So that's less than 2 days. She said over 800,000 people had to be evacuated from one province. And as Nick mentioned, just the dense population there, no matter the size of the typhoon, if it impacts a portion of China, that could impact millions of people. And then they've already dealt with extreme weather this year, from heat to floods, and now they're about to get hit by another typhoon. So that's just a tragic situation in China, and definitely hoping that this next typhoon is nowhere near as devastating as what they just dealt with. But as far as here, as Nick mentioned, it is the Atlantic hurricane season for us here in the U.S. mainland. Thankfully, it's been pretty quiet so far. I haven't really seen any major U.S. impacts, and a lot of these storms staying out to sea. Right now, we're not tracking anything in the way of potential development, so that's good news there. As far as the tropical update, this is actually a updated outlook from this past week. So Colorado State University and the Weather Company, which owns the Weather Channel, both up their projected numbers for named storms this year. Colorado State upped theirs by about 4, and the Weather Company picked up theirs by about 5. So we're looking at the potential for 18 to 20 named storms in total, 9 to 10 hurricanes. 4 to 5 of those could be major hurricanes, and you can see the average numbers in that third column. So even though we're in the midst of an El Nino, which is pretty impressive because El Nino typically suppresses hurricane activity, they're talking about the abnormal warmth of the sea surface temperatures in the Atlantic being able to override the impacts of El Nino. So this is a really crazy weather year, Nick, in terms of everything that's going on. People are talking about climate change. I tend to stay away from that topic, but there is definitely something changing. As far as storm names, Emily will be up next, but as I mentioned, we're not tracking any imminent threats for our next named storm coming up. And as far as where we are in the season, we're definitely heading towards the peak of the season, which typically happens as we get into fall, into the beginning of September, mid-September, and then we see a slow decline as we head through the end of October. So I know it's been quiet so far. We've only had 4 named storms, and people are probably thinking, how can we get 16 or 14 more named storms to get up to those projected numbers? Even if we don't reach those numbers, we are going to see a uptick in that activity in the Atlantic basin. So definitely be sure to stay up to date with the tropics week to week, but at this time, not tracking anything that will be an immediate threat for development.
Well, that is good news, certainly, Mikel, and hoping that it stays that way. Because we were talking about it yesterday. What was it? Was it your first year here, 2020, when we went into the Greek alphabet? Because we had so many named storms.
That was my first year. Yes.
Yeah. So it was like, hey, welcome to the real world. Here's 40 named storms we're going to throw at you, or whatever it was. But hopefully we don't get that far in again. But as you just said, we are kind of getting into the peak of it, so not sure what's going to happen there.
Exactly. Kind of got to wait and see, man.
Yep. All right. Let's see. I think that that about covers our weather for the day. So I guess we'll wrap things up as we do here. Got a little picture for you, Mikel. What do you think here? We got a pup to show. Someone sent us his puppy yesterday. Sonia Prince from Fairfax, shout out Allendale County, sent us this dog, Mr. Dylan, taking his daily ride in the back of the truck there. So
you said Mr. Dylan?
Mr. Dylan. Yep.
Okay. I got you. I like that.
Enjoying some pretty good weather out there, looks like.
Exactly. He look like a good pup that just roams around the backyard, around the house. You just see like Dylan. You just open the door, yell for Dylan, he come running.
Yeah, he knows the dinner bell and he comes looking for it. So
exactly.
Appreciate the photos there. Keep sending those in. We'd love to keep showing them. But yeah, folks, that's gonna wrap it up here for our First Alert Weather Extra show for today. Mikel, as always, it's a pleasure, and I look forward to doing this again tomorrow.
Yes, sir.